Hello, sisters and brothers in Christ. How is your soul? In John chapter 4, when Jesus approaches a woman from Samaria at a well, he doesn't ask that question, but he certainly asks, "Would you like living water?" The woman at the well, she has had 5 husbands, the text tells us, and she is now living with a man. She encounters Jesus and runs back to her town to tell the whole town what Jesus has done for her. And through this process, Jesus demonstrates how to evangelize and then lifts this woman as emblematic, symbolic of what we are to do as disciples of Jesus Christ, to witness, point back to Jesus. So the first point that I made on Sunday, faith that is tentative, full of questions, and not yet mature can bear witness and do so effectively. The woman at the well is inviting people through curiosity. She asks the question, can he be the Messiah? Go and see for yourself. She stays curious as she evangelizes. And we see in this story that one person's faith can have huge impact in your circle of influence. Who is in your circle of influence? Friends, people are thirsty for spirituality right now. Jesus is direct with this woman and curious about her. And that's a lesson that we can learn. We can be direct when staying curious, by staying curious. And then we won't offend or put up guards from other people if we invite through curious questions. And this may be the most helpful lesson in our current climate that we're living. We want to move people from categories to conversations. Don't prejudge. Even if the person tells you their life story, as in this story, and you're even in disagreement with how they're living their lives, keep asking questions. Stay curious. Let folks know that you're praying for them. That may open to a spiritual conversation. Tell folks of the mission of Nolensburg Presbyterian Church. That may lead to a spiritual conversation. Ask the question, how is your soul? People are thirsty right now. And you don't have to pretend to have it all together to invite people to Jesus. The Samaritan woman at the well, she didn't pretend to have it all together. She just met Jesus, received that living water. She leaves her bucket behind because maybe, just maybe, she is now the bucket full of living water, and she goes into the town to make impact, to witness to Jesus Christ. And that brings us to faith has powerful results when it is shared with others. But faith, based on the witness of others, must move on to firsthand experience with Jesus. No matter who you are, no matter what you have done, your status does not matter. For everyone can receive the grace of God, who is Jesus Christ. No one is outside the bounds of God's love, God's grace. You don't have to pretend to have it all together to lead people to Jesus. Your task is to ask questions, stay curious. Ask other people, how is your soul? Through intentional conversations with folks, we move people from categories to conversations. And what I mean by that is, throughout this story, the male disciples, they're concerned for Jesus' well-being. They have a deep-seated prejudice against Samaritans in general, and this woman in particular. They see categories. We fall into this trap too. Jesus encourages us to engage in conversation. Don't prejudge. Don't put people in categories until you have a conversation. Stay curious, invite people to Jesus. And that leads us to the third point. One of the key tasks of discipleship is to witness to Jesus Christ. Even in the woman's spreading of her experience with Jesus, she stays curious. Come and see. He can't be the Messiah, can he? She invites people to Christ. Invite folks to Nolensburg. And she invites through her curiosity. how enriching for our souls, and how nourishing is it for our faith when we hear the testimony from other people of what God is doing in their lives. It strengthens my faith to hear about your faith. It strengthens my faith to see your presence in worship. Your presence in worship strengthen other people's faith. Tell folks about what God is doing in your life, and it will strengthen and it will witness to Jesus Christ. And finally, friends, Jesus calls us to do difficult things. We oftentimes want to circumvent our problems. We want to walk around the Samaria of that which we fear, but Jesus leads us into difficult things. The disciples find this out all too often. And when we walk with Jesus, when we deepen our friendship with Jesus, we also find that Jesus calls us to do hard things, difficult things, pick up our cross and follow Jesus. And one of those difficult things, Jesus leads us to move people from categories to conversations. The Samaritan woman shows us that we don't have to pretend to have it all together to have faith. And she shows us that one of the key tasks of discipleship is to witness to Jesus Christ. Hope to see you on Sunday, strengthening other people's faith.